Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Kelsey. I'm the creator of Bite Size Ancient History, and we're here to talk all things ancient world. Today, specifically, I'm going to be reacting to the trailer of The Return, starring Ralph Fiennes, which, from what I've seen in the tiny little clips, I'm guessing is based on Homer's Odyssey. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of my future content. If you're thinking, who is she, why should I listen to her and her reaction to this video? I studied classics at undergraduate level and then Egyptology at master's level. So I have had to read a lot of Homer. But you don't have to stay here, it's up to you. I will also say now that this is just a fun video in order that we can learn some things from the trailer about the ancient world. It's not meant to be a criticism. I obviously haven't seen the movie. I don't know if it's good or not. Yeah, even if it's not accurate, it can still be a good movie. The main thing I criticize is when it's been changed for no reason. So we will see. Don't come for me. So without further ado, let's get into it.
King Odysseus, the smartest of all the heroes. He led us for 10
So we're starting off strong. The main character is Odysseus. He's described as the king and the smartest of all men. How accurate is this? What is Homer's Odyssey? So it's split into 24 books or chapters, and the Odyssey covers the 10-year journey of Odysseus from the end of the Trojan War to coming back home to Ithaca. It obviously doesn't go as planned, was not meant to take 10 years. We don't really know who wrote it because the books weren't written. It was an oral tradition. People would gather around and they would tell it as a poem initially. But historically we attribute it to a man called Homer. Homer also famously the author of the Iliad, and the Iliad describes the final year of the Trojan War but with Achilles as the main character. They were likely composed around the 8th century BCE, so the archaic period of ancient Greece. Yes, Odysseus is a king. He is king of Ithaca, which is a small Greek island in the Ionian Sea. And yes, within the world of Homer, he is described as being one of the smartest men. How do we know this? In Homer's epics, the characters will often have something which is called an epithet. And this is basically an adjective which describes their key characteristics. So when it comes to Odysseus, we have ones that describe his intellect. For example, polytropos, which we translate to many twists, many turns, meaning that he's very adaptable, very quick, very clever. We also have polymetis, which metis relates to the mind, so like many minds, thinking like full of cunning, quick. And for another one is dolichometis, basically means he's known for his deception and trickery. And these are all key themes that come out in the Odyssey. However, without obviously giving spoilers, I think if you read Homer's Odyssey, you do at times come away thinking, is this man that clever? I don't know. Up to your own interpretation.
us for 10 years in the Trojan War, before his brilliant plan to build the great horse. The Trojans thought it was...
Again, very accurate. So it says that he led us for 10 years in the Trojan War. Yes, the Trojan War did last 10 years. This is a war that basically took place between the Trojans and the Greeks. How did this all start? I feel like if you've seen any of my other videos, this is something that comes up all the time in the purpose of Greek mythology to explain things. So, as a very speedy summary, Paris is the prince of Troy, and he gets brought in by the gods to basically judge a beauty contest, and he decides to side with Aphrodite, who basically bribes him, she may have won anyway, to win by offering him the most beautiful woman, and that happens to be Helen of Troy. She already has a husband who is the Greek Menelaus, so not very happy. The war starts to basically win Helen back. Odysseus, as a Greek king, gets involved to ally with Menelaus and get Helen back. So yes, he did lead his men for 10 years in this war. It is Odysseus who conceives of the Trojan horse plan. And basically it's the idea that the Greeks left this massive wooden horse as an offering to the gods and to the Trojans. The Trojans bring this into the walls of Troy, and all of the Greek soldiers are hiding inside so they can siege Troy from the inside. they have no hope. And this is ultimately what ends the war. Also, as a side note, I love the artistic style for this narration part because it is very inspired by the style that we see on Greek vases. So I like that added little detail. Again, it just shows me that people have done their research, and we love that and appreciate that.
A gift and took it behind their walls. Then out poured our soldiers. Odysseus led us to victory.
People love stories.
You were there?
Let's talk about the casting of Ralph Fiennes in this movie and the age of Odysseus, because I feel like that could be something people comment on. His age is never explicitly mentioned in the Odyssey, so we're kind of left to deduce it. We know that he is relatively young when he marries his wife Penelope, and that by the time the Trojan War starts, that he has a young son called Telemachus. So we're kind of guessing that he's in his 20s or 30s when it starts. The war then lasts 10 years. So this is taking us 30s to 40s. His journey home then takes another 10 years, so 40s or 50s. I think Ralph Fiennes, who I love, he's an amazing actor. Got to see him in Macbeth. Amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend if there's any recordings out there. But I think he is older than this. So it is an interesting casting choice.
I am Odysseus' wife.
Odysseus is dead.
Not to me.
I don't know if I'm being really blind, but is that Denzel Washington again? Because I was really fortunate to go to the Gladiator premiere and everything and see that movie, and it was great. Wild in so short a time span to end up in films that are quite similar. Obviously one's ancient Rome, one's Greece, but you know what I mean. Things in the ancient world again, so good for Denzel.
He sailed to Troy years ago. Took the best men with him.
All year, suitors have been turning up, waiting for his widow to choose a new husband to be king.
Scout.
Okay, so then they mention the suitors that have been turning up the whole time that he's been absent and presumed dead, because it took him 10 years to get home after the Trojan War. This is accurate. That is a major thing that is discussed in Homer's Odyssey, is that all of the eligible men in Ithaca are rocking up to Penelope being like, hey, these lands and wealth, they look pretty good. You seem quite lonely. Would you like to? And she holds off the entire time and waits for Odysseus to return.
Just here for your wealth.
Look at this island. A wasteland. Gangs of thugs terrifying the people.
They need me alive. At least until I choose my husband.
Mother.
Okay, so looks like they have his son Telemachus. Yes, he did have a son that obviously became a grown man by the time that he has returned from the war. 20 years period. So, yeah.
Anymore.
I will choose soon when I finish my wedding cloak.
Ah, so they discussed the wedding cloak. This was a real procrastination tool that was used by Penelope, that she said she won't consider any of the suitors until she has finished working at the loom weave and completing this. So that is accurate to Homer's Odyssey.
Been a fool of you, of us all.
I know who you are.
A tramp.
If I were free, I'd fight for what was mine.
I know who you are, a tramp. Yes, Odysseus, when he finally returns to Ithaca, disguises himself as a homeless person, basically, in order to kind of sneak back into the house and get his revenge on these suitors that have been harassing his family for the past 10 years.
For my people.
What will the people say when they see I have returned alone? That I led all their men to their deaths?
That I led all the... So he makes a comment about the fact that he led all of the men to their deaths. And yes, Odysseus is the only one of the people of Ithaca that went to Troy that returned, because on this journey, which I don't want to go into in case it's giving spoilers, I think that'll be a future video when the film is released, a lot of stuff goes down, and Odysseus is the only one to survive that. We slowly lose them all across the 24 books.
This land is ruined. I sacrificed it for him.
I have a proposal for you. A hunting party.
Where is he? Who are you?
Your waiting is over. The one amongst you who can string the bow and shoot the arrow through the axes, that man will be my husband.
Okay, very cool. So she says that she's finally giving in, and the person who can string her husband's bow and shoot it through the axes can be her new husband. How accurate is this? This is 100% accurate. So famously, Odysseus's bow was made of a very hard wood that was not easy to bend, so it takes a lot of strength in order to string it. And she's basically using it as a delaying tactic. This happens in book 21 of the Odyssey, so we're getting quite near the end. Odysseus sneaks in as the beggar, the homeless person, and successfully does this to basically re-win his position as the husband.
Becomes home.
Give the man the bow.
Okay, we start to see a lot of blood, and this is really accurate. So when he successfully does so, him and his son Telemachus slaughter all of the suitors. They also slaughter all of the slaves they've basically kept because they've betrayed them. Specifically the female ones because they've been getting off with the suitors. It's pretty brutal, very, very bloody. And that is it for the trailer. I hadn't seen a lot of hype around this movie. I've only now just got to the end and realised that it has come out today as I'm filming this. So I'm intrigued by the lack of hype, but I'm excited. Cautiously excited. Let's see how it goes. I'm intrigued. It doesn't really seem to focus on the journey. As it's called, it's the return. So I don't know how we're making a whole movie out of the day that he returns, but let's see. When it does come out, I will go and see it and I will let you guys know, and I will do my little historical review. But don't forget to like this video and subscribe so that you don't miss out. And I hope you have a lovely weekend. Bye.